Peter. The horse is here.
Whenever I watch old YTPs or AMV edits from the early days of YouTube, it often reminds me of those internet FanDubs people did over the years that were really popular for some reason and people liked it, including myself. And if you've seen the rise of FanDubs over the years, you should know by now that uploading those in today's day and age of YouTube will get you a one-way ticket to getting a copyright claim, or even worse, of course, a strike on your channel if you're not careful. Now, if you've seen any type of fan dubbing content or comic dub related content, you might get an idea on how it all works. If you don't, then let me explain the basics. Hi, I'm Octo, and when a soy boy brought up that Marvel movies were cinematic masterpieces, I brought up their family history of crime and mental illnesses. Mostly because their taste in movies are kinda trash. But then it didn't take long for MCU fans to start spamming our responses. God, I freaking hate people. Usually FanDubs include clips of a show or movie, perhaps a video game that isn't their own work. They include a comedic wordplay and change of dialogue to alter the story or narrative, mostly having the person doing the voiceover intentionally making the voice foolish or silly, mostly to add on to the comedic effect. Not to mention how most FanDubs are created for translation source. Kinda like how anime fanboys flip and go bonkers when their new favorite anime just got a dub. Now, ComicDubs are a bit different than FanDubs, due to them being an existing online comic created by some other online artist or created by a person dubbing the comic, in some cases. Usually giving credit to the artist in the description, or at least they should in a way, because sometimes they don't. Other than just adding a voice to a character, they also have to be professional about it, since depending on the comic, whether it's an original story with an original character or with a beloved character from any franchise that are put into a different situation for the sake of comedy or to spark some sort of relationship with said characters. Yeah, the internet is weird sometimes. FanDubs, ComicDubs, everything in that sort of range are awfully different and are easy to distinguish from one another. But one thing they do have in common is how its copyrighted materials can be a not for fair use mess. From the visuals to the music, there's always something in the way from preventing you from expressing yourself online. Same goes for YTPs. And for the YouTube site, there seems to be a change of terms of service almost every year, which is great for the most part, but terrible notably. The thing that popularized and had an impact in YouTube's history is now not allowed on the platform, leaving YouTube a former shell of itself. You can possibly bypass any copyright act by adding the for fair use disclaimer in the description, but most likely that wouldn't work. Freedom creativity is a phrase that is slowly losing its meaning, not only for YouTube, but for any other social media platform. And the bots that roam the site to monitor everything, and not to mention the toxic users who so-called cancel each other online. That's not what I'm leaning towards at the moment. Most YTPs are missing from the platform, especially the ones with low view counts. Sometimes it's a copyrighted music or the visual footage triggered the copyrighted bot. Thankfully now, when you try to post something that has copyrighted material, YouTube will just tell you before you even post the video while you're editing. Which, great job YouTube. You made things less complicated. Wow! I'm gonna get a little personal here, but a few of my dubs were hit by a copyright claim and it was blocked by all countries, meaning absolutely no one could watch my FanDubs except me. And I ended up deleting practically all of them. I really regret doing that now since since I could just re-upload them with a cropped background and distorted effects, but that's totally on me. And one thing that I do blame myself for is that I couldn't just do the dubs on anything but copyrighted show or movie. So I wish I could have figured that out years ago. But most of my dubs had terrible, dark, edgy humor in them. So maybe if it was, so maybe it was for the best that I ended up deleting them. Thank God. And plus, during my prime of making dubs, I also knew a few other dubbing YouTubers who were doing like almost the same thing as me, but with non-copyrighted material, and all they wanted to do was just dubs on that. Yeah, and unfortunately, I do not talk to those people anymore. I wish we still talked, but which I guess, you know, all good things must come to an end. And also I like to mention that when I was really little, I always liked watching those fanfic dubs. You know, the like the little innocent funny ones, but not for any weird reason, just because I liked watching them. Dubs that are posted now are often still images and or an awful short amount of seconds. And I think it's great to see dubbers use what they can for the sake of comedy and or creativity. Even when the platform's bots try to stop us by censoring and or age restricting our dubs and edits, we always find a way to bypass it fairly with the power of editing. Praise the FanDub community.